Good morning, folks, folkettes, and everything in between and beyond. My name is Roy, the host of My Happiness, and the only host, as far as I'm concerned, in the history of the internet, who fully and wholeheartedly admits that he has no idea what he's talking about, but he keeps on trying. And I say this because I think it's number one, true, but also because this is a way of self-deprecating that people like myself like doing. But honestly, looking at some of the comments, I think I'm going to have to start charging a little bit more than half a penny. Of course, nobody's buying. Still, put the price up a little bit. Of course, this is a pregame today. Miami Heat at Hawks. An interesting matchup. This is something that I think the Miami Heat, they're not only the money line favorites. We're not going to have Jimmy Butler. We're not going to have Jay Rich. We're obviously not going to have Drew Smith. Keshad Johnson was just signed to a regular contract. Isaiah Stevens to replace Drew Smith to a two-way contract. And this team is a little bit under suspense. They came out and fought hard against the Orlando Magic, and they won that game. Even though they were down 14, they were consistently down 5 to 10 points, meaning they showed grit, like I said in the last video, that shows that there is unity, that there is some sort of locker room chemistry, and that Spo has not lost the locker room, because I don't think that those kinds of wins are possible when you are not united, right? Maybe a win in which you are 20 points ahead and you don't let them, get close like we did with Orlando. We don't let them, we don't blow up our lead. Those are the games that I think that a team that is not united can still win. The games that they start by 20 and they don't let the other team come back. Games like this that are fought, that are in the mud, that show a lot of the grit, a lot of that working class attitude, without the points, especially a horrible game, 89-88 against Orlando. Those wins, in my opinion, they only come when there is a certain level of solid unity and solid, good relationship between players and the coach. So I'm not as concerned as I was before last game with that. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with Jimmy Butler. Now, this is what the only thing that I can say for the Hawks, for example, Congo is out. Bogdanovic is questionable. That's pretty much it. I mean, they have they have been playing slightly worse than we have in terms of a record with a couple of more games, if I'm not mistaken, ahead of us. They depend a lot on Trae Young and how Trae Young is doing on an evening, more so than any other player. They are an unpredictable team, just like we are, right? So I think that this is an interesting matchup of if there are teams that play in a similar way and that show a similar type of behavior. It's the Miami Heat and Atlanta Hawks right at this time. And I just wanted to say this because what I am going to talk about today is going to be a little bit more geared toward general perception of the team and general fanhood, but I also want to get this out of the way. So when we beat the Orlando Magic, I saw some of the pundits, let's say that we must beat the Magic, that this is a must-win game, that we had to dominate the Magic in the 3 games that we played against them this season. And we weren't able to dominate the Magic in any of the games we played against them this season, but especially the last 2 games without Paolo Banchero, with Mo Wagner out for the season, if I'm not mistaken, or at least for a significant amount of time. And those pundits, they are so sure, and I understand them because, again, they know more. They forgot more about basketball yesterday than I will ever learn in my entire life. So I do not take their opinions lightly, but I have the right to disagree with them. I disagree with them. The Magic had just gone in a 2-game winning streak, one of them against the Celtics, and the Celtics did and it was a comeback with the Celtics being pretty much healthy, relatively healthy. The Magic still managed to get the win. So it's not exactly a situation in which you can say the Magic is a team that is that we have to win against this season. Quite the contrary. Magic is a team that by all accounts is better than us. How is it surprising that their center, who is more offensively oriented and much less defensively oriented, the team as a whole is better on defense? You cannot say that Goga Bitadze is compares defensively to Bam Adebayo. You just can't say that. You can say that Gogo Bitadze can dominate against us because we lack certain types of defense when it comes to the paint. That can happen because that's what they did. That's how they came back in the previous game. They dominated with shooting and in the paint in the first game. That was a completely lopsided game for them. Then this game, they just couldn't reproduce the same results of the very beginning of the first quarter, right? The first 5 to 7 minutes of the first quarter, they couldn't replicate it throughout the entire game because then we started to steal, they started to turn the ball over, we started to turn them over forcibly as much as we were turning the ball over at higher rates that we have been doing thus far throughout the regular season, this regular season. So no, I don't think that we have to win against the Magic. Quite the contrary, I think that's a fascinating duel with a team that is a tier above us this season. It's just the fact I started the season thinking the Magic was a tier above us this season, or at most the same tier. They're not the same tier. They're a tier above us because even without Paulo Banchero, even without Mo Wagner, as we know how important, I think one of them is more than the other. They are showing resilience. They are showing that they can do what they can do. So a win against the Magic is actually a good win. In my opinion, it's an important win. It's nothing to say, they just had to win against us. It's not that. It's my opinion. Another thing that is very important with the game against the Magic is Bam's 4 points. There are two sides of this coin. It had, if I'm not mistaken, 5 blocks, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. Responsible for at least, let's say at least 18 points from the side of the Miami Heat. Responsible for 9 rebounds, some of those essential rebounds, down the stretch, and 5 blocks. What more do you want from a guy? Now, I'll tell you what more I want from a guy. To me, as I said from the beginning of the season, from before the beginning of the season, I don't care if Bam Adebayo gives us 20 a night because he is a defensive anchor. I don't care. I really don't. I don't think that he should be giving us 20 a night, that he should be the guy that takes the offensive game on his hands, especially having the leap from Tyler Hero that we are seeing this season. But Bam Adebayo, especially in the absence of Jimmy Butler, especially because the marketing is not just the marketing, he is the captain of the team. Thinking about building a team around Bam was not unrealistic until this season. Some people start seeing that his offensive skills have, not offensive skills, but his offensive determination has declined as opposed to increased, right? After winning the Olympics, after getting his money and so forth. I don't see things like that when it comes to Bam Adebayo. I think Bam Adebayo is essential, and he obviously impacted the game a lot. But in the absence of Jimmy Butler, he cannot beat 2 of 10. Can't. Just can't. You want it to be 4-10, give you 10, 12 points a night, and be the defensive anchor, I'm with it. He cannot be 2 of 10. He cannot score only 4 points when we don't have Jimmy Butler, when we have such now we lost Nikola Jovic, who's been having issues with his ankle as well. So we don't know for how long we're not going to have Nikola Jovic. Now that he's finally, it's like a player starts doing well, they get injured. So there's a little bit of bad luck there. Well, I don't want to say curse because I don't believe in those. I don't even really believe in bad luck. But there is, we can't catch a break. When a player does well, they get injured. Not going to be surprised. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I was going to say something stupid. I'm not going to say it. But yeah, so Bam Adebayo, that's the only criticism that I have of him. I am never going to say that he's a bum. I am never going to ask for us to trade him. I don't think he's playing out of position. He's established himself and gained respect as a center in the NBA. It's just, I agree. I would like to see more size. I would like to see us trying that. I would like to see, a 7-foot center playing alongside Bam in the 4, because I do think that is a way to maximize the productivity of this team if we have the right pieces. But we don't have the right pieces, and we can't task where who hasn't been as effective against Orlando. Not ineffective, but not as effective against Orlando. We can't task Ware for carrying that right now, although why not? In a way, that's exactly where I'm heading when it comes to Jimmy Butler. Why not? But that's not my thing with Bam. My thing with Bam is that Bam Adebayo needs to do better offensively. Not greatly better, but better offensively. He has to get to 40% shooting. But let's just make a deal that makes sense, right? That he doesn't have to have 20 points a night. And it's not okay for him to go out with only 4 points a night. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a kind of an analysis here when it comes to Jimmy Butler, right? I don't think Jimmy Butler is going to necessarily be traded before the trade deadline. It is becoming more apparent that Jimmy Butler doesn't want to be with the team. The reasons for his absence are, to say the least, confusing. Because, for example, he twisted his ankle, and then they say that he's ill. Then it comes out next morning that he's a stomach flu. Then he doesn't play for the next game, and then doesn't play the next game. And then the next game he's out because he's returning to competition conditioning. And then again he's out today because he's returning to competition conditioning and didn't travel to Atlanta. He's waiting for Miami when they come back to play again. In a perfect world of innocence and truth and beauty, the guy twisted his ankle, got to the locker room, got sick, went to the bathroom, did his, number 2 business and mouth projectile business, got very sick, started, getting IVs, couldn't function for the next 4 or 5 days, and now is kind of coming back out of a haze. And yes, his body was just too dehydrated. He's returning to competition conditioning. There are other 2 possibilities that I can think of. He twisted his ankle, and it's an ankle sprain, and they do think that he's a tradable asset, so they don't want to decrease his value because, after all, he is famous for having ankle sprains that make him miss 20-plus games a season, right? Number 2, he doesn't want to play, and all those reasons are just reasons to kind of get things in order, regardless of, the very late Pat Riley's statement about Jimmy Butler before the last game. So we don't know whether Jimmy Butler is going to play this season or not. I mean, it's fair to say that we don't know whether or not. I think he will. I think he's coming back. I think he is going to wear this jersey. I don't know that there is a way for him to be traded before the trade deadline. It's coming up that De'Aaron Fox may be available. So again, when we're talking about Fox, we'll see about that. I don't think that's a possibility. I know Sacramento can't straight up do that, so it would require an intervention from a third team. And I don't think Jimmy Butler is just worth a player in a couple of picks. I think he's worth a lot more, and he is worth a lot more to this organization. And if people can't see that he can still bring that, and I think that if healthy, and the question of availability is a big one for Jimmy Butler, even in the postseason, as we saw last season. But I think that if healthy, he can still be playoff Jimmy. I don't have any evidence of that, but I mean it's pretty. I think it's pretty foreseeable. It's not difficult to foresee that. So I think that he has value, and I definitely think that it has value to a playoff contending team this season. The question is, would other teams take the chance of having him beyond the season with the extension and the money that he wants? Right? All those are things that we need to see and we need to consider. I do think he's playing. But right now, maybe there is some sort of a situation. There's some sort of distraction. That's a third option, right? Maybe he's just out to give the team a little bit of space. It's not you, it's me kind of situation, or it's not me, it's you kind of situation, whatever it is. Now, I want to talk about a little bit about fatherhood and fanhood, because this Jimmy Butler saga, and then the ups and downs of an inconsistent and predictably inconsistent season. We knew it was going to be like this or worse. Those who didn't, I don't know where they were. I was optimistic there for a minute that we had the potential to compete. Duncan Robinson said it in the preseason, potential is nothing unless it materializes. But now I want to talk to you about fanhood, and I'm going to use a little bit of my fatherhood to talk about that. Excuse me. I tell my son, 4-year-old, wonderful, marvelous Kai Oliver, tell him, Kai, you can say people are silly, You can use the F-bomb at home, as long as you don't use it in the street. So try to teach him not to use it at all. S-word, you can use all of those. Just can't say stupid. Because stupid is a real thing. People can be stupid. And saying that to someone, when you mean it or when you don't mean it, is hurtful. If you intend to hurt that person, you shouldn't be 4 years old. Right? So that's fine. But don't use that word. It's an offensive word. It's a real insult, right? Whether the other, whereas the other ones are just kind of like onomatopoeic. They're just sounds that come out of your mouth to express a certain feeling, and I love using those words. Saying stupid is offensive. But sometimes, some people, they test my ability to avoid being offensive myself. I can do better, though. And I'm going to say is this. Unfortunately, some people have certain types of structural beliefs. And they think that they know or that they can determine for themselves or for others what a true fan is. And I tell you this. If you're one of those and for some reason you're watching or you got to this part, let me tell you this. What I said this is not the first time that I'm saying this in my videos here. Look, anyone watching the Miami Heat play in December, November, when the NFL has a very competitive season and end of the season. I would say a fairly competitive end of the season for the NFL. Before the Super Bowl, before March Madness, before the playoffs, and watching this team play more than once, more than twice, more than 5 times, and you have the audacity of thinking out of your highness that you can tell that person that they are not real fans? What world do you live in, my friend? Actually, please, not my friend. Person, human. What world do you live in which a person is making a comment about Bam Adebayo in December, and you're saying, you're a fake fan? I know more than you. I know I do. You don't. Maybe you do. That's besides the point. Stop calling. Stop being a grown person and calling others fake fans. FFS. It's just stupid. I found a way to use that word significantly better now. I'm not calling you stupid. The act is stupid. Stop doing it. Stop saying somebody's a fake fan because they don't like a player that you do, even though you have all of the evidence that the player is the best. I love Duncan Robinson. I don't think Duncan Robinson is doing this team any harm. A lot of people are screaming that he is. It's their right to do so. Call me a fake fan for that. I pay for FanDuel Sports. Second time they change your name in 3 years. In October, in the preseason, I watch him. I give him my money. In the preseason, before the Super Bowl, before March Madness, before the Heisenberg Trophy was handed. You don't call me a fake fan because I like Duncan Robinson. You don't call me a fake fan because I say that Bam is a bum. Could be that your opinion is not rooted in reality. I still watched the game in November. Can't call me fake for that. You can't call me fake for disagreeing with you. Some fans are tired of Jimmy Butler. They watched the game in October. They're not fake fans. Some people think Jimmy Butler deserves to be traded for a pack of chips, a bag of chips, a pack of cookies, a couple picks. I disagree with them. They're not fake fans. They're not fake fans. This is not just this country, this is the world. And this is not one particular trend. It's a very natural one. We come to points in civilization in which we start saying that if somebody thinks differently than us, then they are not real. That's what this basically means. I'm analyzing this psychologically. You say, I'm a fake fan, you're calling me not real. Why? Because only your opinion stands. The truth, the reason. Only your opinion matters. Somebody else's opinion, if different than yours, it just means that that person doesn't exist. That person doesn't have a brain. Look, honestly, I think that some of the people out there, after this Jimmy Butler situation, I myself panicked the first video. I panicked when the news came out before watching 5 Reasons Sports, without putting things into context, without reading the article. I did that. This is not something atypical. At least maybe I am atypical. I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's natural. I think it's natural to do stupid things. But you have to take responsibility for those ideas. And taking responsibility for those ideas means this is what I think. I think I have a pretty good understanding of the game. I'm not talking in my voice, I'm talking in yours, okay? You can say to yourself, I think I have a good understanding of this game. This is my opinion. I don't think that your opinion is as based in reality as mine is. It's acceptable. Maybe it's a lot. So you resort to fake fans and proceed to write 5 paragraphs out of why you think that somebody is wrong as opposed to being a fake fan. Stop calling people fake fans. Stop trying to make people not exist if they disagree with you. Other than that, stay safe, stay dry, stay as happy as possible in this very complicated world of ours, and let's go Heat.